Hi everyone, happy Thursday. I'm Jami Gordon. I'm a local real estate agent in the Cedar Rapids and Iowa City areas. Thank you for joining today. Today we're going to talk about protecting your home. I've had several different phone calls from clients who are having some problems, and it kind of really hit me this week on not many people know much about insurance, and I am not a licensed insurance agent, but wanted to share with you a few things that might be able to help you on making a good decision on who you choose as an insurance provider. Number one, a lot of people just don't know what questions to ask their insurance provider when they're interviewing them. You should absolutely interview your insurance agent and not just go with the people that your parents have been using for many, many years. What if your parents have never made a claim? I mean, they've never really had that personal experience with that agent. Now, it's good to have an agent that you have a good relationship with, that you can get along with well, that has a good personality, but you also want to make sure you have coverage when it's time. Some of the things that have come up are, number one, and this happened to me personally, and also has happened to a client of mine, when we moved into our home, my husband and I are laying in bed, and all of a sudden there was a downpour in our master bathroom. 6 months, only 6 months living in the house. So it was very heartbreaking at the time, and very stressful. So we had contacted our insurance provider, we had contacted a roofing contractor, and lo and behold, that problem had existed for a long time. Actually, all the sheeting was rotted. And we had an inspection done on our home. So I immediately got into my inspection report, dug through it, and found out there was some really inaccurate information in it. Not only, like, there were several layers of shingles, and you couldn't see from ground level how many layers of shingles were on our roof, but there were actually, I think, 3 layers in one area, and it was just, so obviously they've been covering up for years. So the insurance provider considered that kind of a pre-existing condition, so it was not covered. And the inspector said, no, it was fine. Well, no, it wasn't. And if I had known what I know now, I would definitely have pushed harder instead of just saying, whatever, we're going to take care of it. I also have another client that is dealing with something similar but different, in that the seller actually covered up things. In my situation, the seller probably had no idea that there was this issue happening up in the attic. I mean, it's not something that you see. But this other one that is dealing with something that is going to cost a ton of money to get fixed, and it wasn't something that an inspector would have caught. So that one is even a harder situation, but the insurance will not cover it if they can prove that it's been a pre-existing condition, much like healthcare. Another thing to consider is what would you do if you actually had water in your basement? Now, if you have an unfinished basement and are storing things on the floor, you should really think twice about building shelves to keep things up off of the floor, because most basements that are unfinished don't have like sewage backup and like flood insurance. They just won't cover it, because there are additional riders that you have to add to your policy. There's also an additional rider for like sub pump backup. If your electricity went out and your sub pump stopped running, your basement could easily flood. Even if your basement is finished, you need to make sure that that rider is on your policy. Otherwise, you're kind of in a pickle. I'm going to include a link above that's going to include some questions that you can ask your insurance agents as you look at which one you want to go with. And it's not a bad idea for you to evaluate your insurance policy. Things change constantly through the year. I mean, I don't know about you all, but I receive, hey, your insurance policy has been changed, and I get all this mail, and I'll have to admit, I don't read it all. There's just such an abundance of mail that we get these days that I don't read each individual change to my policy. So also ask your insurance agent, how do you evaluate my my file? And my current insurance agent said, hey, I reach out to my customers once a year, and I make sure that I look at everything in their file. That's a big deal. So if your insurance agent doesn't do that, you should probably go shop and look around. So don't always go with who mom and dad has or your friends have. make sure you do your due diligence and ask those key questions. And also, okay, one last thing is personal property. So many people move into their first home, they have all this hand-me-down furniture. It's not very expensive, so they don't need to put a lot of personal property coverage on their property. And then after, you know, they start doing well and they get good jobs, they might get newer furniture, and it might, their personal property could double easily. You know, the value of it could double. So they need to contact their insurance agent to say, hey, you know, we have nicer stuff now. We'd like to increase the level of our personal property. Oh, wedding rings are a big thing too. Guns, things like of big value. A lot of times your insurance provider will require you to have like an appraisal on those items and submit them to that, so that if even if your wedding ring were to get lost, a lot of times that there is coverage on that through your homeowner's insurance. So keep that in mind. I hope you learned a thing or two today, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. I hope this helps you along your home buying and selling journey. Have a blessed day.